If BMW wanted to match Chinese EV pricing, they'd have to sell their cars at a 75% loss for the next 20 years. That's like giving away 3 out of every 4 vehicles for free. And in the time it's taken me to tell you this, another 50 of these little cars just rolled off production lines. But the craziest thing about BMW's new $60,000 iX3 EV is that it costs more than all 5 EVs combined. Today, we're counting down the 5 Chinese electric cars that make BMW look like a luxury brand. And when you see number 1, you'll understand why this isn't just automotive disruption. It's economic warfare. Starting our countdown at number 5 is the NIO Firefly. And listen, at $16,000, this thing makes a Mini Cooper look like a luxury yacht. Here's what's crazy. This compact EV packs a 42 kilowatt-hour battery that'll give you 300 kilometers of real-world range. That's more range per dollar than any Tesla Model 3. But wait, it gets better. The Firefly's got rear-wheel drive. Yeah, you heard that right. A budget electric vehicle that actually feels sporty in corners. It'll hit 60 in 8.5 seconds. Not Tesla fast, but quicker than a BMW i3 and way more fun than any front-wheel drive city car. And here's where it gets absolutely insane. This thing scored 96% on Euro NCAP safety tests. You know what Mercedes' $50,000 EQA scored? 97%. So we're talking about basically identical safety here, but you're paying 3 times the price. You're literally spending 40 grand extra just for that little 3-pointed star. Inside, you get a 12.8-inch rotating touchscreen. Yes, it flips from portrait to landscape, wireless phone charging, and 6-way power seats. But here's where NIO really shows off. They include a built-in fragrance system that pumps designer scents while you drive. BMW? They charge $500 just for colored ambient lighting. Here's how insane this has become. NIO spent 18 months developing this entire car. BMW takes 7 years just to redesign a cup holder. The Firefly is already being delivered in Norway at 25,000 euros. Even at nearly double the Chinese price, it still undercuts every European premium compact by 10,000 euros. But if you think a $16,000 car making European luxury brands sweat is crazy, wait until you see number 4. At number 4, we have the BYD Seagull. And listen, at $11,000, this is literally the moment European budget cars officially died. Here's what's insane. This thing packs a 38 kilowatt-hour battery that'll give you 400 kilometers of range. That's longer than most weekend road trips. And it charges from 30 to 80% in just 30 minutes. Try doing that at a gas station. Here's the kicker. The touchscreen actually rotates from portrait to landscape. Lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, 6 airbags, all standard on an $11,000 car. Meanwhile, Volkswagen's ID3 costs $40,000 and doesn't even include adaptive cruise standard. You have to pay extra for basic driver aids that come free on this car. Let that sink in. And here's where it gets absolutely ridiculous. In Euro NCAP child safety tests, this $11,000 Seagull scored higher than Volkswagen's flagship. An $11,000 car is literally safer for your kids than Germany's $40,000 engineering masterpiece. BYD is launching this in Europe as the Dolphin Surf for 22,000 euros. That's still less than a base Golf, for an electric car, with better safety ratings and more features. This is the moment when German engineering stopped being a selling point and started being a luxury tax. But wait until you see what happens when a century-old American company starts begging Chinese startups for help. At number 3 is the LeapMotor T03, $8,000. We're now in this shouldn't be possible territory. Here's what's absolutely insane. This tiny EV delivers 400 kilometers of range. That's more range than most people drive in a week, and it costs less than your annual coffee budget. It'll hit 60 in under 10 seconds too, not Tesla fast, but perfectly fine for getting around town. But hold on, it gets crazier. 6 airbags, autonomous emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, lane departure warning, all standard on an $8,000 car. You know what Citroen's C3 gives you for $16,000? 2 airbags. Yes, 2. In 2025, you're literally paying double for half the safety. Inside, you get a central touchscreen with built-in apps, digital gauge cluster, and adaptive cruise control. Things you usually find in cars costing 3 times as much. This is getting ridiculous. And here's where this story gets absolutely bonkers. LeapMotor just confirmed European market entry through a partnership with Stellantis. That's Peugeot, Citroën, Fiat. They're literally importing their own replacement. Think about that for a second. They can't build competitive cars anymore, so they're partnering with the company that's about to destroy them. Stellantis has been making cars for over a century. Now they're begging Chinese startups for help. The game is over. But if you think European automotive giants surrendering to Chinese teenagers with engineering degrees is the bottom, wait until you see how Chinese designers are trolling European heritage. At number 2 is the Wuling Bingo, $8,300. This car costs less than a Mini Cooper's racing stripes. I'm not even joking. Picture this. The Bingo delivers 333 kilometers of real-world range. The Mini Cooper Electric? About 400 kilometers. So you get comparable range for 1/4 the price. It charges from 30 to 80% in 35 minutes too, faster than most European budget EVs. This is where it gets bonkers. The Bingo looks like a Mini Cooper, made it better, and priced it like a used motorcycle. Round headlights, two-tone paint jobs, wireless charging, voice controls, and even a panoramic sunroof option. You know what the Mini Cooper Electric costs? €34,000. And it feels like it's from 1995 by comparison. Check this out. More interior space despite being smaller on the outside. More efficient per kilowatt hour. Newer infotainment technology with over-the-air updates. The seats come in these bright, playful colors, pastel blues, pinks, whites. Even the dashboard is more modern and user-friendly than anything from traditional European brands. Brace yourself. If this thing enters Europe under €15,000, the Fiat 500e becomes an absolute joke. €30,000 for 240 kilometers of range. You're literally paying €20,000 extra for the privilege of owning something slower, less efficient, and less advanced. European automakers are charging luxury prices for museum pieces. But manufacturing economics is about to break completely. And here's number 1, the car that doesn't just break automotive economics. It proves they were fake all along. The Wuling Hongguang Mini EV, $4,200. This car costs less than most people's car insurance for 1 year. I'm not making this up. It's sold over 1 million units in China. 1 million people bought a brand new car for the price of a decent MacBook. Think about that for a second. 1 million families now have electric mobility for laptop money. This tiny 4-seater delivers 170 kilometers of range from its compact battery. That's perfect for city commuting. Most people drive less than 50 kilometers a day anyway. It charges from any standard wall outlet in about 9 hours. No fancy charging infrastructure needed. And here's where Chinese engineers just trolled the entire automotive industry. The dashboard doubles as a phone shelf. That's it. No over-engineered nonsense. European designers spend $50,000 developing cup holders. Chinese designers said, use the dashboard, and moved on. But wait, it gets crazier. Despite costing less than a monthly salary in most Western countries, this thing uses high-strength steel construction, has functional safety systems, and actually meets real safety standards. It fits 4 adults, has decent build quality, and just works. Meanwhile, legacy automakers charge you extra for power windows and call it premium. The Mini EV represents something European and American executives thought was physically impossible. A profitable new car that costs less than their marketing budgets. But it exists. 1 million times over. And here's the terrifying part for incumbent players. If this thing ever reaches Europe, even at double the Chinese price, it would destroy every single assumption about what cars should cost. The game isn't just changing, it's over. The age of European and American automotive dominance is over. Chinese engineers didn't just catch up, they lapped the entire industry. And the scariest part? This is just the beginning. If you found this valuable, subscribe and stay ahead of the curve. In Macroscope, we'll be watching and bringing you the stories behind the shifts,